So we're talking about boundaries, and we've been talking about boundaries, but you know what? I actually think we're going to talk about boundaries throughout the month of December and into the new year because there's so much to say about boundaries. But the first thing I want to address is the reaction that I get when I talk about this topic. Because I just, whenever I suggest a boundary to someone or a limit, in my coaching or clinical services, I just wait for the look of terror, the sort of look of deer in headlights. Like, you're asking me to do what? Like, that's so far out of my comfort zone. But I just need to bring your attention to something right now because we live with boundaries around us and we're okay. In every other environment in our life, in the workplace, in our role as parents, if you're in school, right, there's plenty of boundaries and limits there, or if you go into the classroom, your kid's classroom, right, you see plenty of boundaries and limits. In business, for all of my entrepreneurs out there that I work with, or you know your bottom line, right? In every single aspect of your business, you know what you're willing to do and what your non-negotiables are, right? So this language is not new to us, but for some reason, when we talk about boundaries in relationships, it throws us. And it's really because we hold so much fear over what's going to happen, right? I don't want to upset the person, or I don't want to make them feel bad, or what if they don't like me anymore? What if they don't want to be my friend, or they don't want to date me, or whatever, right? So we avoid the boundary because of that other threat, right? And by doing so, we end up holding so much more disappointment, regret, anger, resentment. And we try to get off by blaming it on the person. I'm so upset that they did this to me. I'm so upset she said this to me again. I'm so, but really, who you're most upset about is you're upset with yourself for putting yourself in that position again. Because our body tells us, once we've gone through a situation, right, where that indicates our need for a boundary, our body communicates, warning, I'm not good with this, I don't feel comfortable, right? And we have a choice. We can either listen to that voice and honor it, or we stifle it and move forward on a wish and a hope that things are going to go the way we want them to. And then when we don't, we're mad at ourselves. And so with this idea of being really concerned about how the other person is going to react, I want to give you a solution here, because we have no control over their reaction. But what you do have control over is how you communicate your boundary. And so this is a formula I use for communication in general, but it works so well with boundaries. And it's a 3-part formula. It starts with setting your intention, then stating the worst case scenario or the thing you're trying to avoid, followed by your I need statement. Okay? So I'll give you a little example, and I'm sort of chuckling. This is coming from some work that I was doing with a client earlier today, and we laughed. Like we had so much fun figuring this out. But let's talk about boundaries in friendships, right? Where, you've got a group of friends, and sometimes you may find yourself being the one who friends are talking through, right? They're upset with each other, so they're going to talk through you. You're the middle person there. A really uncomfortable, precarious sort of position to be in. But use this as an example because it applies in the workplace too, let me tell you. I remember those corporate meetings. So, all my peacekeepers out there, the ones who are trying to avoid conflict, you probably find yourself as the middle person all the time. All right, so you want to get yourself out of that position. You don't want to be the middle person anymore. And so here's how you might approach setting the boundary, communicating the boundary clearly and effectively to your friend, right? So we're going to call our friend Julie. And so we say, you know, Julie, I just want to talk to you. Here I'm stating the intention. I want to talk to you because I'm starting to feel like this conflict between you and Sarah is starting to negatively affect our friendship, right? I'm feeling some tension here. And so I wanted to talk to you about that, because the last thing I want to have happen is for us to have a falling out, or for us to, you know, miscommunicate something and then it creates a big problem between us. That's the worst case scenario. That's the thing we're trying to avoid. And so what I need from you, Julie, is I need to be out of the middle here. So moving forward, I don't want to have to communicate for Sarah to you or for you back to Sarah. So I'm just removing myself, and I'm so hopeful that the two of you guys are going to figure out how you can communicate to each other. Okay? So here I've stated the intention of why I'm setting this boundary. The second piece is the thing I'm trying to avoid. So I'm kind of giving it a context too. And then what you need, what you're looking to have happen, right? And when you focus your communication to be really thoughtful, intentional, you think about your delivery, your nonverbals, as well as your verbal communication, right? That's what you can stay true to. Those are the things that you have some control over. And then you have to trust that, you know, the boundary is going to be respected, you know, or this is why I'm saying it's going to be a multi-part system here. We're going to talk about how you hold people accountable to the boundaries moving forward. We're going to talk about what happens when you do get challenge and resistance, because I know that does happen. But stay tuned. We'll get to that. In the meantime, maybe practice intention plus worst case scenario plus I need statement. Don't be afraid. Step into your fear, because you will feel the magic. Have a good Friday.